This month on CountryWide Connect, Carrfields is talking seeding and soil prep. Because a strong spring starts before the seed goes in. Carrfields, your trusted partner on the land.
Well, welcome to CountryWide Connect's machinery segment, which is a recent new evolution of the show, proudly partnered with Carrfields Machinery. And I've actually got here with me in studio Craig Carr, Managing Director of Carrfields. Thank you for not only your partnership with us on livestock, but now, of course, machinery. It's a big year for Carrfields, but also to a really prominent time to discuss the evolution of the Carrfields machinery journey, which has changed in many forms and really exciting for the future going forward, Craig. For those who are not familiar with the journey, where did it all start originally for the Carr family?
Yeah, no, morning, Sarah. Look, it started, as many of you know, Greg started as a contractor farmer, and being a large-scale contractor, bought a lot of machinery, and in 1991 he had the opportunity to take over the Fiat Agri franchise, which he was running, Fiat tractors, Fiat Heston balers, and so, the opportunity came to take it on. He started Agri Farm Machinery in Ashburton on Moore Street with 3 staff, and a few years was on contractor farm machinery sales, and then in the sort of 1993 he had the opportunity to buy the machinery site that we have out at Tynwald, which is now CLAAS Harvest Centre, and really the machinery business grew from there. We in around the mid-90s when Fiat and New Holland merged, we then became the Agco dealer. So we were selling Massey Fergus and then later Fendt. We then also took on the CLAAS franchise for Canterbury. We were selling CLAAS and JCB and Amazon. And then, it sort of just carried on. It grew into South Canterbury, it grew into Christchurch. The contracting business was a really fundamental business that we could, really showcase the equipment. And so it grew, and it was, big. It's been a huge part of my father's, life. He's been a key driver behind that machinery business, and the philosophies that he put into that were all around being a contractor. He knew the most important thing in buying any bit of gear was service. So, that continued to grow, and then when CLAAS bought Renault tractors, they started developing a tractor, and of course we were selling Agco, Massey Ferguson, Fendt, and obviously CLAAS, and CLAAS bringing out a tractor. In 2009 we had to make a big decision, which was, do we go with CLAAS? Do we go with stay with Agco? And as a family we made the decision to go with CLAAS. We became the first CLAAS harvest centre for Landpower, who are the CLAAS importers in New Zealand and still are. So we took that on. We had dealerships in Timaru, Christchurch, Ashburton, Waipara and the West Coast. And, that partnership continued for many years until recently, where, we as a sort of national agribusiness, we're continuing to grow across the country with livestock and seed. We wanted to grow. Landpower also being the importer for New Zealand and Australia, they wanted to continue to grow, and ultimately the decision was made that we would sell them back our franchises, but as a family, for us it was still pretty important that we wanted to continue in farm machinery. So over the last 3 years we've been really building out our new machinery brand under our Carrfields banner.
It's an interesting model that's changed over time, seeing multinational brands approach New Zealand differently. What has changed in that last, say, 5 years alone?
Well, I think there has been a lot of movement around the farm machinery sector globally, but I think you see the big tractor brands, they have continued to acquire other companies where they can then make a full lineup of equipment. So if they might have started as tractors and balers and combines, and then I've added sprayers and cultivation equipment to create a full lineup. And I suppose when we sat down as a family post the sale of the CLAAS business back to Landpower, we sat there and said, what's going to be really important for us moving forward into the future? And the first thing that we said was really important was that it would be our brand at the top of the tower. So we would we would have the Carrfields brand, we wouldn't have a multinational machinery brand at the top of the tower. And so that was first and foremost. Second thing that we said is we wanted to get as close to the manufacturer as possible. So we didn't want to be working in between people. We wanted to be able to get to the factory, understand where they're going. You know, we obviously need to be more direct, take people out of the supply chain. And so that was a key one that we wanted to achieve. The third thing that we really wanted to do is ensure that equipment that we were going to represent was obviously high quality equipment, right? And more importantly was also known to New Zealand, because, you know, going to find a new brand that no one knows and establishing that takes time. So we're really fortunate, not long after the sale and the separation from Landpower, that we obtained the franchise for Horsch across New Zealand. And so Horsch had been in New Zealand for many years. It was represented by another company. But really for us, what attracted us to Horsch was family business. You know, they are connected to farming. They were leaders in, you know, soil preparation, seeding, and lately spraying equipment. And so a really premium brand that has farmers at the heart of it. So that was a great brand to sort of kick off with. And then from there, we formed a partnership with Kubota, with Krone, and took on Krone for a chunk of the South Island, and then Manitou, which is a telehandler product that replaced, you know, previous market share that we enjoyed a big market share of. We now represent that from Taupo right down through the whole South Island. And then, you know, dear to my father's heart was combine harvesters and
In the Fendt.
Yeah, so, you know, Greg, you know, had his life, you know, a real deep passion for combine. You know, under what he did, he maintained huge market share for many, many years. And really we were approached by AGCO to say, hey, look, you guys are the combine people. Would you represent the Fendt combine? And it was a pretty quick decision that we would say yes, but we also took a lot of time to go, you know, how's this machine going to perform, and all of that, to make sure we're making the right decision. And we're really, really pleased already. We only were able to start selling combines at the start of the year, but you know, we've quickly got a number of big black machines out there, and we've got more on the way for next year. So yeah, we've built this portfolio of brands, and we feel really like we've got great brands. And then the key for us has been about building the footprint. So the
most important question, Craig, comes down to what does that direct relationship with the brands and it not having one prominent brand mean for growers?
I think what it means is that we, you know, growers and farmers can actually choose the brand that they need that's going to do the right job for them. You know, we're not sitting there and saying, well, we have to achieve this much market share in tractors or whatever it might be. It's actually about the right equipment. And I think a deep underlying sort of philosophy for the family also is, you know, responsibility, making sure that what we put out there actually works, but not only works and works really well and is more efficient, but actually does better things for the land, you know, that can leave the land in a better place, not only for this generation, but for the coming generation. So we've been very selective with the companies we wanted to work with. We've done a lot of work around looking at where they're going into the future in terms of technology and whether that's, you know, service technology, parts technology, machine technology, AI, and all those types of things. So we're really pleased that we've partnered with exceptional manufacturers that are very connected to what they're doing, and we're able to bring that back now and put that sort of across a footprint across New Zealand. And so for us, you know, it's been about putting down roots in new places. We opened in Alexandra last year. We've opened in Gore. We've opened in Invercargill. Really pleased how that's kicked off down there. We know because we're seeing also arable growth down in that part of the world, combined with, you know, the large dairy, sheep and beef market, which drives the contractor market. And we're obviously got our branches here in Ashburton and in Christchurch, and we're about to expand into Central North Island with a new site in Feilding, which is really exciting for the team. And so being able to bring together also not only just our machinery team to those regions, but be able to connect that with our livestock team, our seed team, which really makes what we feel Carrfields, deep in rural New Zealand and connecting with our farmers and our growers. So yeah, it's been a high-paced journey the last 18 months.
It's been a high-paced journey for the Carr family for a long time, many decades. What does the future look like for this growth? But it's not growth for growth's sake, right?
No, look, I think like everything, cost of machinery is getting more expensive. I think what we're seeing is farmers are certainly, particularly arable farmers, are looking at how they can expand more with less equipment and the right gear. The right gear that means you can go over the land less, you can do a better job, you can apply less chemicals, you can apply more precision fertiliser. To me, that's what the future of machinery will be, around how do we actually lower the cost of growing crops or growing feed or operating machines. And so it comes down to reliability, technology, great service network, having the parts there, and more importantly, when something goes wrong, like a machine breaks down, it's having a company there that can actually just put another machine in to help those farmers or those contractors, because as you know, when the weather's right and things need to be done, you can't wait. So yeah, for us, it's just continuing to really build on that service network, but more importantly, seeing how we then can connect the technology within that equipment to be able to make more proactive decisions on farm. So again, downtime is eliminated.
Yes. So with expanding network of branches across the South Island, now into the North Island, Carrfields Machinery is now a very integrated brand within the wider Carrfields portfolio, and a proud sponsor of the machinery segment here on CountryWide Connect. Thank you very much for your time, Craig. Before you go though, I just wanted to ask you, on your latest trips overseas, you went to cereals at Diddley Squat. You took a group of farmers over there. Some of the farmers have been on the show sharing their time over there. What did you personally take watching New Zealand growers through their lens of how they were seeing the evolution of the future of machinery?
Yeah, Rick, great question. No, it was a great trip, and really great to have a selection of farmers and growers from right across the country on the trip. I think for me, with the group being predominantly arable and contractors, I think for me it was, particularly after a tough couple of years in arable, it was great for them to be able to get off farm and actually see what is happening in Europe, seeing where these machinery companies are actually investing, and they are investing a lot for the future, but also seeing when we were on farm, different farms, understanding that the challenges that European farmers have are no different to the challenges that we have, right? It's all around input costs, it's all around returns, it's all around the cost of machinery, and so I think, in reflection, and we did and follow up with the group. The reflection is that the challenges are the same, but we are in a good place here in New Zealand. I mean, Europe is just going through has had a massive drought, as you know. I mean, heat wave. The crop yields are hugely affected, so we can control a lot of stuff here. We do have great soils. We have great water. We have great capability. We have great infrastructure. So I think, really for those farmers and contractors that joined the trip, it was actually just realising that actually the rest of the world is having similar challenges, and that actually it is about looking at scale. It is a look about how do we reduce costs, how do we actually seek higher prices, how do we de-risk our rotations, or how do we actually bring other elements of farming into our operations, such as livestock farming, or other types of farming, integration with dairy. I think it really just sort of showcased that we have to keep evolving, we have to keep thinking, we have to keep getting better, and we have to keep thinking about the future in terms of our businesses, and nothing stops still, right? So yeah, I think, for me, it was just seeing people actually go, man, like there's a lot happening here and there's been a lot happening at home, but, we're actually in not a bad place.
It's a really nice reflection for that group and, of course, to share wider with our audience. Craig Carr, Group Managing Director at Carrfields, and Carrfields Machinery, proud sponsors of our machinery segment on CountryWide Connect. Thank you, Craig. Look forward to catching up again soon.
Thanks, Sarah.
Carrfields. From groundwork to establishment, we're here to help set your season up for success. Carrfields, your trusted partner on the land.